Napoleon Bonaparte, the ultimate underdog who decided that being average just wasn't his thing. Born in 1769 on the island of Corsica, Napoleon was that kid who probably had a future dictator sticker on his notebook. Sure, he was shorter than most of his peers, but what he lacked in height, he made up for with a ridiculously big ego and a knack for military strategy that would put video game generals to shame. Napoleon wasn't exactly born with a silver spoon, but his family had just enough noble blood to send him off to France for military school. And that's where things started to get interesting. While most kids were playing with toy soldiers, Napoleon was out there studying real battle tactics and mastering the art of war. By the time the French Revolution kicked off, Napoleon was in the right place at the right time. While everyone else was busy trying not to lose their heads, literally, he was climbing the ranks like a boss, showing off his genius for outmaneuvering opponents while in his life. By the time Napoleon hit his mid-20s, he was already a general, and let's just say he wasn't playing around. When he took command of the French army in Italy, he didn't just defeat his enemies, he totally schooled them. His secret, moving fast, hitting hard, and making it all look effortless. Imagine Michael Jordan in the NBA Finals, but with cannons and bayonets. And then there's the whole crowning himself Emperor of France thing in 1804. Like, that's right. Napoleon didn't wait for someone else to hand him a crown. He just took it because why not? Napoleon was so into himself that he staged his own coronation. And instead of letting the Pope put the crown on his head, he grabbed it and did the honors himself. Talk about a power move. By the early 1800s, Napoleon wasn't just the Emperor of France. He was basically running Europe like it was his own personal playground. His empire stretched from Spain to Poland, and even though he was constantly at war, he still found time to overhaul France's legal system with the Napoleonic Code. This guy was so ahead of the game that his laws are still the foundation for many legal systems today. Not bad for someone who probably had to stand on a box to see over his desk. Despite being the most powerful man in Europe, Napoleon was super paranoid. He had more spies than a James Bond movie, and he was constantly writing letters, like thousands of them, and if texting had existed back then, he would have been the guy blowing up your phone all day, but as they say, what goes up must come down. And Napoleon's downfall started when he decided to invade Russia in 1812. Now, invading Russia is pretty much the worst idea in military history. Just ask anyone who's tried it, you know? Napoleon marched in with 600,000 troops, but between the brutal winter and some serious supply issues, most of them didn't make it back. Oops. After that, it was like the universe hit undo on his conquests. By 1814, he was forced to give up his throne and got exiled to the tiny island of Elba. But Napoleon, being Napoleon, he wasn't about to let some little island keep him down. He escaped from Elba, came back to France, and pulled off what's now known as the 100 Days, basically a speed run where he regained control of France and marched on his enemies one last time. Unfortunately for him, it all came crashing down at the Battle of Waterloo in 1815. After that, they sent him to the island of St. Helena, where he spent the rest of his days plotting his comeback, which, spoiler alert, never happened. So, what's the deal with Napoleon's legacy? Well, he wasn't just a military genius. He was also a reformer who left a lasting mark on Europe. His Napoleonic Code is still a big deal in legal systems around the world, and his military tactics are studied in war colleges to this day. But at the same time, he's also a lesson in what happens when you let ambition run wild. The guy went from conquering half of Europe to dying alone on a remote island, all because he didn't know when to quit.